Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. This is the podcast where we help you challenge your mindset and discover where you are. Tired of stories about other people's success? We can help you change your life, determine your time freedom point, and join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hey everybody, how you doing? Today I want to go back to one of my friends. You know, as somebody in the industry, you're obviously connected. I'm sure whatever job you have connections to people that you work with who went to other companies or started their own business and so forth, and you're staying in touch. And nowadays, staying in touch also means you can get emails and newsletters and stuff like that from people. And one of those folks that I've always stayed in touch for years already is Dustin Heiner. And he has a good educational program, and he does similar things like we do, helping people to get into residential real estate investments, to build generational wealth, and ultimately not having to work anymore. He actually runs around with t-shirts that say successfully unemployed. Why I'm actually bringing him up is because he, in a video interview that I saw recently, made a really good point that I think we should all kind of in a way consider, and that is how do many people who kind of hear about real estate investing and then get intrigued about real estate investing and then want to go out and do real estate investing. And what oftentimes happens is that the thought is, well, let me see where I can find a location with a good property, and then you go on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com and so forth and start looking at properties. And Dustin pointed something out that I think is a really good thing, and that is an analogy, right? If you really think about real estate investing, or not looking for your primary residence where you want to live yourself, but for investing, and we have all the criteria and other stuff that we have discussed in other shows, but just on a principle level, then it is similar to basically making a decision that you want to start a business, because you should look at the real estate investing as running a business and you are the king or the queen of that business. And so the analogy of looking at it from a business perspective begs the question, what is the property? When you say, okay, I want to get into real estate investing and I start looking for a property, what would be in combination to a business, what would the property itself represent? And so Dustin made a point, and I kind of changed it a little bit, but if you think about your decision, if it weren't to become a real estate investor, but you decide, I want to open a restaurant, right? And what would you do if you decide you want to open a restaurant? Well, you would go around and say, okay, what's the best location that I can find in the town or city that you're at or that you want to have that restaurant, to say, what's the best location? How is the crime rate in that location? How safe is that location? How nice is that location? How much traffic of people just basically looking for a restaurant, driving around, walking around, and so forth, can I attract to that location? How high is the interest, and so forth? And you would probably have to ask yourself, what kind of restaurant do I want it to be? Right? And that brings up the question about competition. If you are basically like I am, for example, we have our main place in San Diego, and there's literally an area in downtown that's called Little Italy. Well, if you have the idea that you want to open an Italian restaurant, you probably don't want to do it in Little Italy, because there are already many Italian restaurants and they are established and so forth, and they would be your competition. Should you open French restaurant in Little Italy? Probably not, because the name itself already brings a certain expectation for anybody who is looking for restaurants in the San Diego area or downtown San Diego, and they see Little Italy, the first thing they associate it with is Italian restaurants and not French, right? So you want to look at the competition in those different ways. Then you want to find out, okay, depending on exactly where your restaurant is going to be, how much insurance do you have to pay for? Then you have to see, okay, well, what kind of financing can I get? Because if you start actually putting the restaurant together, you need a kitchen and you need tables and chairs and you need a front area where the people come to make reservations and be greeted and so forth. You need decorations and all kinds of stuff. And you probably should also think about, well, if the restaurant is new and nobody knows about it, you need to probably also have some money for advertising. And then when you have all of that established, you got your financing, you got your location, you got your lease agreement, you got the place, you got the kitchen set up, you got the tables, you got the chairs, all of that. Then you would go out and buy the ingredients to actually start the business and start serving meals. And those ingredients are basically akin to finding the house. If your business is not a restaurant, but your business is real estate investing in the residential space. So the same thing applies. Where do you want to do it? What's the traffic there? What's the economy there? What are the jobs there? What's the safety there? What's the crime rate? What are the schools? What's the traffic situation? How much does the insurance cost? Can I get the financing? Right? All those kind of things need to be at least addressed. And hopefully for every single one, the answer is yes. And then we can say, now let's look in this location for available properties. To answer the question from the beginning, the house itself is kind of akin to the ingredients you need to ultimately create a meal that you can serve. But nobody who would want to start a restaurant would start buying the ingredients to make their meal before all the other things have been checked and to some extent have been put in place. And that is kind of the message that Dustin basically got us across, that so many people approach him, and some of them, I have to admit, approach me. Some people approach me with the same point to say, hey, I'm really interested. Do you think it would make sense if I start looking for properties? And the answer is no. Let's talk about all these other things first. Now, you can obviously shortcut some of this when you start working with me and join our mentoring program, because we already vetted location. We already looked how well they perform. We already looked if we can get insurance. We have multiple lenders on hand. We have inspectors on hand. We have contractors on hand. We have all these things already on hand. So instead of you having to discover all this stuff, if you join our program, you kind of get it on a silver platter, and you're very much closer than under normal circumstances to actually get the ingredients, meaning the house. But if you want to do it on your own, and keep this analogy with the restaurant in mind, you wouldn't go out first to buy the lettuce and the meat when you haven't even decided where the restaurant is supposed to be and where the kitchen is and what chairs and tables you buy and stuff like that. So I hope this is helpful for you to understand, number one, real estate investing is like a business. And unless you're working with somebody who did all the legwork upfront for you, like I did and what I'm offering in the mentoring program, don't start with looking for the property. Start with all the other stuff first. And then when you have the answers to all of these other questions and all the other things, then you can say, now that I know everything that I need to know, now I can look what properties are available. I hope you like this kind of content. And if you do, then please leave a review, please give us a comment, please rate the show, download the episode, that really all helps us. And like I said, if you want to see how you can take advantage of all the things that I have already done for you so you don't have to go through all of that, then please go to idealinvestorshow.com, find the button to book a call, and then let's have a conversation how I can help you to quickly get to the main ingredient, which is the house. So that's it for today. Be well and stay safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.